Okay. All right. We'll call to order the Planning and Architecture Review Board for City of Flagler Beach, May 7th. Can you stand to help me say the Pledge of Allegiance? Roger, would you like to lead us?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Roll call. Present.
Present.
Marshall Shue.
Here.
Joseph Zuli.
Here.
Lisa Smith.
Present.
Joe Soma.
Here.
Scott Chafee.
Here.
Excellent. Approval of meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read it? Anyone see any narrative, grammar?
I'll move to approve. I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Seeing none. Meeting minutes approved. Old business none. New business. Application RZ 240001.
Yes, sir, and this involves property located at 112 North 6th Street, and it's actually a companion item to Sub B, which is application Flume A 24-0001. Same property, and they're really two parts of the same equation. So as you see in the write-up from your consulting planner on this, that the rezoning requests in the future land use map are made to bring these from commercial to general commercial zoning, commercial future land use, to I believe it's medium density residential, right, Joe?
Well, I was had a question about that.
Well, then let me get you up to the podium and introduce if you're going to ask a question. The applicant is here for questions, and now he has a question.
Yeah, so my Joe
Say your name.
Joe Kovach, 112 North
Okay.
6th Street. My question was, in the rezoning, it goes from general commercial to single-family residence. No issue there. Then in the future land use, it goes from commercial, and I thought it would go to low density, but is that incorrect? It said medium density, and I wondered why that would be the case. Isn't like single-family low density? That's my question.
I was curious if it is, I'm seeing if it is a agenda misprint. Nope, it is proposed for medium density future land use and single family for zoning. So, not being the planner, I can't tell you exactly what the rationale is, but I can give you a pretty good guess. And for the bar board's benefit too, is why you would do that, why you would have a higher allowance in the future land use map than you would in the zoning. The future land use map is always future land use map is always forward-looking, as you all know. The future land use map is the comprehensive plan map. The zoning map is the zoning. The zoning is what I can do right now. Sometimes future land use is more intense than what the zoning is, because zoning can always be less intense than the future land use map, but it can never be more intense. So if there is a planning reason, and in this case it would be, my guess again would be, it's the transition, because it's commercial, it's transitioning into commercial. So the natural transition, again, something the board knows, is you tend to go single family to medium density and into your more intense uses. So you're ramping up, you're phasing in that ramp up of intensity. And so that would be my pretty educated guess of why your planning staff is asking for a medium density future land use map, but a single family zoning, because the single family accomplishes what you want to do, but 20 years down the road, if somebody wants to do something different, they have a future land use map that will allow them to rezone to increase the density and form that transition into the more intense uses.
Okay, so that really doesn't impact us.
Does not have any impact to you whatsoever.
Good.
If anything, it would have a positive impact on property values. It probably has none at all.
Good, okay, thank you.
Any questions from the board about it? And actually, that question was great, because it kind of let me give you pretty much the summary of what's going on here in the answer to the question. So if there's any more questions, I'll answer them, but I think you all have a sense of the item now. And even though we've kind of introduced them both, and you can take public comment, I think, jointly on them, I would ask for two motions because they are two separate actions.
So I can open up to public comment. Any public comment? Questions? Well, we'll have questions with the PARB. I guess we'll come back. I may have jumped the gun, but we'll have questions. Do you have any questions? Not seeing any public comment? I'll close public comment. Scott, any questions?
I have nothing right now. I need to hear more.
Okay. So I believe, my understanding is it's commercial, right?
Correct.
And we want to tie it into residential.
Correct.
And in order to do that,
They have to have the same zoning.
they have to have the same zoning. And the planner is saying that he's recommending medium-density residential?
For future land use
For-
map,
for future
medium
land use,
density,
right.
but single family for the actual zoning.
Okay. So, did that help?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
still,
You are going from a more intense use to a less intense
Right,
use.
right. Yeah, that's what he's requesting. But on the future land use map, it's still medium density.
But it's
versus
still,
that.
from what it currently
Right,
is, it's still coming down in intensity.
Correct, from GC.
Correct.
Okay. All right, I get you, I got it. So, we could entertain two motions, one for A and one for B, and that allows the homeowner to move forward with a zoning of residential so that he can put an addition on his home. Well, separate,
Correct. Correct.
freestanding.
In the motion, if the motion is for approval, then I would ask that you incorporate by reference into the motion the findings made by your planning staff. So a motion to approve incorporating the findings made by the planning staff would be an appropriate motion. Just everything that Jack has put into his report, you're putting that into your motion. When it goes up to commission, they have the benefit of that in your motion.
Before you do that, any questions?
Yeah, I don't know if it's really a question or a comment. Joe and I have had some history on this lot. I want to make sure that, and I understand your survey and everything else, that the lot's a 50-foot lot, but you're only doing the modification to 30 feet of the 50.
Except that the lot is identified by the county as two separate lots.
Okay,
So there's an east and a west. There's
Right.
lot 8.
Right.
Lot east
Right.
is 20 feet, lot west is 30 feet, and we're working on the 30-foot
you're
section.
working on the 30, correct. The 20 feet has the easement for the
Correct.
sewer line running
Right,
to other property,
yeah,
and that's not going to be modified or changed.
no,
The question I would have, based on the write-up that you have in here, is that you're going to run the water for this pool house, whatever the
Right.
24 by 24. You're going to run the water from your present residence.
Correct.
But you're going to tap into the sewer.
correct. Is that an issue or not?
No, I'm not saying it's an issue. I just, in my mind, when you look at your water bill and your sewer bill, are you going to be hit with two sewer base fees?
Well,
And if you are, how, because the sewer fee is based on the water that comes into your house, because theoretically it's going out of your house.
right.
And if you're getting the water from the house,
I could run a line to the house thing, but it was, just so happens that 10 feet away from the lot is
right,
the sewer
and it
line.
would be logical to go
Right there,
tap
right.
into that sewer.
And since we're not being charged for sewer's charged with water, right?
So it's the same
Right.
difference.
So it's the same difference, it's just, I'm just doing the shortcut.
Okay,
See,
but
I mean,
I'm looking at my water bill that I just got, and there's a sewer charge, and there's a sewer base fee, and there's a water charge and a water base fee.
correct.
But by you having a sewer hookup on your residence and now a sewer hookup on this building, granted, all the water's coming from the residence,
Right.
but are you gonna,
If there's 2 meters, there would probably, if there's gonna be 2 meters, there'd be 2 base fees, because I think those
Right.
base fees follow the meters.
They don't meter sewer, so you're gonna have 2 meters.
Right, but
Right.
I understand that, but the concept that I was trying to get straight is that by connecting 2 different sewer hookups, are you gonna get a base fee for 2 different sewer hookups?
Well, if they tell me that, I'll go the other way. You know, basically, thank you for bringing that up. I was curious about that as well. But, yeah, I'll do whatever.
Because I know the water fee and the
Right.
sewer fees are connected,
Right.
so,
Yeah,
okay,
good.
that's it.
Any other questions from PAR? No? Okay, then we entertain a motion. Is somebody willing to give it a shot?
Sure. I move that we recommend approval of, both of them are individual.
One of them.
Application PRD 24-0001 with them, with what did am I supposed to say, Drew?
Incorporating the findings made by your planning staff.
That.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Okay. So application RZ 24 has been approved. Now we need a motion for B.
I move that we recommend approval for application F Pluma 24-0001 with the same verbiage we used the first time.
Incorporating the findings of your planning staff?
Yes, please.
I'll second. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Seeing none opposed, B has been approved as well. Okay. Application SP 240001's final site plan approval request to build a new mixed-use building at 907 North Ocean Shore Boulevard.
And this is site plan approval. The applicant is here if they have a presentation or if you have questions regarding the plans. You see in your planner's report that he has found that all code-related issues have been complied with in the site plan, and he is recommending approval.
Let me get to that. This one. Yeah. All right, got it. So, is there, okay.
Hi, Joseph Lewis with A Plus Homes,
Yep,
representing for the owner, Casimiro Casper, which is also here. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
so anyone have any questions, sir? Okay, Lisa?
Looking at the, site plan, I'm familiar with the lot, I know it slopes, I actually used to own this lot and the building next door with the shared driveway. I know up by the road, I see it's elevated at 20 feet, in the rear, 18. The plans don't necessarily reflect the fact that there's a downhill grade. It looks to me like the garage is on the same level as the commercial spaces, so I'm not sure.
If you look at the garages, they're actually underneath the building inward, so it's actually gonna step down as a regular garage does, and then the rest of the slope would be sloping up in that direction to the garage.
Okay.
And is
On
that
the
a shared
foundation.
driveway?
It's a shared
It's a
driveway.
shared driveway,
I couldn't figure out the driveway.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was having a hard time with the plan, on the foundation plan, it didn't look like any difference, or on the piling plan. But you're saying there's like a covered area outside of the garage, and
yes, ma'am.
so
Mhm.
it'll ramp up
Yep,
there?
it would
Okay.
ramp upward into, because the garage is already gonna have a step down in about 6 inches or so, and then the rest of it will ramp up, this way we don't get any water intruding back into the house.
Okay, yeah, I can see it's a little over, 2 feet garage difference?
Should be.
I don't know, we have multiple site plans, so
Yeah,
there's some
this is,
different numbers on different.
unfortunately, there was a lot of,
I know that driveway right now is
Yeah.
rather steep,
yes.
so my
Mhm.
concern was how does it affect the neighbor? 'Cause I
Right.
know the driveway's, 5 feet on one property, 5 feet on the other.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't plan on.
But you intend to use that
Yes, ma'am.
as the access?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And there's parking behind also?
Yes.
How many spaces?
I think there's 2 there now on the new
There's a
site
couple
plan.
contradictions
Yeah,
on the parking in here as
exactly.
to whether there's 4, 6, or 7.
Well, what happened was this started quite a way back with Karen Miller, and then revised a few times, then it went to Larry Torino, then it was revised a few more times, and now with the new planner, so it's been changed quite a few times, so you probably have a lot of them,
Yeah.
but the new one is showing,
I believe there's 4 required for the commercial and 2, if I'm, in one place I read 2 for the residential. I'm not 100% sure. One
it's
per-
2 in the garage, and there's one
one
using
for
the
every
front,
300 feet of
yeah,
commercial.
and then it's
2 in the rear
2 in the rear,
and 2 street.
yeah.
But then it says a total of 7.
Yeah, I think it should say 6 maybe, but I'm not 100% sure
Yeah.
either, reading through the parking section. So on
Page
page 2 of
53
2, Drew, number 2, parking, total of 6, but then it,
And the very last sentence, it says,
the max.
maximum amount would be 2 for the residential use and 1 space per 300 or for a total of 7.
There aren't 7, are there?
1 space for
Well,
every
2,
300
4.
of retail. I think there's only 4 needed in that.
I agree, I had the same question.
Turn mine in, I don't have it.
Yeah, the retail space is just under 1,500 square feet, so it would be 5. 5 needed.
There's 3 and 2?
Should be 5 and 2, should be 7.
So, it should have 3 in the back, 3 in the rear, 2 in the house, and 1 for front, 1 in the front of the property, which
Now-
is,
I don't see a site plan with 3 in the back. I see 2 in the back and then 2 in the garage.
See this?
Yeah,
But that's out of our land development code. That doesn't have anything to do with.
I was with it.
that's what the planner had suggested that we do. He,
Okay.
to use that.
I didn't see enough parking when I went.
So, that is a suggestion by him, and it's based on our mixed-use land development code, but I don't think you have enough room in the back for, well, he's showing
there's
4 spaces.
But where we're getting 10 feet, if you
There's
can
no
see, we're
garage.
getting 10 feet on the property in the rear, which also Mr. Casimiro, Mr. Casper owns.
Well, that, if I can, this picture, or, it shows that the building is 30 by 45, but the other plans say the building is 60 deep. And this appears like there's no garage. Does that make any sense?
It's underneath.
That's just,
It can't be underneath if it's only
rendering.
60,
Well, it's 61 feet 9 inches,
right, including the garage.
including the garage.
And this picture doesn't have any garages, because it says 30 feet by 45 feet.
I don't have the,
5, so that's 105, 65.
So you just mentioned this,
do you have,
taking 10
Bonnie,
feet
do you
from the
have
property
that
in the
plan
rear,
I
is
sent,
that
I gave
part
you?
of the
Do you have a
application?
copy of it? If I can't find,
That would be between the property owners.
Okay.
Well, that says retention area on this site plan I have.
Right.
If it's a retention area, then you can't have, that's not going, unless you have a civil engineer create a French drain underneath or something, and then you utilize, so then you'd have 3 in the back, 2 in the garage, that's 5, and we need, how many total?
And you've got
But you can,
2 up front.
will they let you parallel park up front? I guess so. Yeah, in front of, on A1A.
I think if I remember him correctly, he did say something about 2 in the front. I'm not 100%. If he had put it in his notes as 7, then he must have been allocating 2 in the front.
That, it says that.
Okay, then that's what, then
Garage,
that's,
2 in the rear and 2 in the front.
Right.
That's what the staff has calculated.
That's 6.
Drew, does the ability to use the parking on A1A apply to this property?
Not to,
I think you-
Tourist commercial, right?
Because it's commercial, didn't you get a 40% discount
40% off-site,
off-site?
like along A1A?
Yeah.
You're not talking about the bank,
No,
parking bank?
no.
No.
parking bank.
I'm pulling up code now, so
There's a 40%
Yeah, there's a-
for
right.
off-site, that 40% of your required parking
It can be off-site, which is parallel on A1A,
Well,
which would be the 2.
the disconnect could also be, I'm looking at Jack's memo, and if you look at that last sentence, what he's saying is the maximum amount of parking would be 7. The maximum would be 7. That's what I'm looking to see. I'm looking at the code section he
Yeah.
references, that's what I'm...
I think you're right, though, about the 40% rule, because that's something I remember having a discussion with him, on.
Yeah, that applies to the so whatever the required commercial parking is, you can take 40% of that and apply it to on-street, which would be right in front of you. Just that, I don't see the calculations, usually on the site plan, you'd have the calculations for parking requirements for residential, commercial, and then you would apply that, formula.
Well, if the building is 9 feet back from the property line in the front, you couldn't have any diagonal or perpendicular park, and I had assumed that when they said 2 within the garage, 2 rear at the lot, and then 2 on-street parking, that's 2 parallel parking.
Yeah, yeah, because they don't let
So-
you back out into
Right.
A1A.
So that's 6, and it's where that 7th would come from.
That would be, if you did the 40% rule, then that would eliminate, that would, but you're right where we're supposed to be.
And we don't use this illustration
No, that's
That's the illustration he gave.
to show
I
anything.
actually think that Larry is the one that drew
Right.
that gave me that illustration.
Because according the plan, and I'm not trying to interrupt here, but the house is over 60 feet long,
Yeah,
and this doesn't state that.
Yeah, I think
That's why there's no garage on
that's
it.
something that Larry,
Got it. Drew, do you know if, the shared driveway is for locked in?
it's on the
locked in.
deed.
Well, what happens if somebody else buys next door and wants to build?
It's deeded on both properties that way.
That's between the private property owners. We don't have a dog in the fight.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so whoever buys the property, it's already on your deed, so you'd be buying
Okay.
it knowing that it's deeded.
The lots were, there was 4 lots combined, and that building was the only building
Okay.
left standing. So the driveway was poured with 5 feet and 5 feet, and it's on the deeds as the properties were sold.
Is that 10 feet
10 feet total.
total from the building? No, there's one on there that shows from the building to this property line, 10.33.
On the northern building.
So, but that's counting that evidently a concrete like a walkway or whatever,
where's my paperwork?
and it's not actually part of the driveway. Right?
So, my concern is that I don't know that we have an actual site plan that shows the square footage, the number of parking spaces required, the number of parking spaces exempted because of the 40%, and the, number required. So I would request that, because it's not here on one page.
Yeah, the 40% rule would not accomplish what you were thinking. It works the other way around. It's a cap at what can be off-site when we're using.
Right, it's a cap what can be off-site, but I don't,
And that's not what we're talking about here. It's a different animal.
yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't see the mixed-use standards on a plan that explains our requirements for parking. Because it would be the total square footage for residential, and then there's a formula on how many spaces you need, then it'd be total square footage for commercial, and then the formula how many spaces you need, and then you'd have a site plan showing how you met that criteria. So we need that.
Along with the impervious to pervious to know if those parking spaces need to be, the handicap space has to be paved.
That has to be paved, yep.
The rest,
It does say concrete drive to the back,
That's
but
shared, that's the
that's
shared.
shared,
but
you're right.
it ends here. It ends
Right.
currently,
And then,
what's halfway gonna be in the garage.
and then there's retention, but that looks like it's 10 feet off. That's additional property in the back?
Right. So, like I said, Mr. Casper owns the property directly behind it, and he owns the home right behind the restaurant that's there now, which is the other property. So he's given up 10 feet of that property.
Drew, how does that work? Wouldn't they have to be part of this survey?
It doesn't necessarily be part of the survey, but if it hasn't been done yet, they can't count it.
I can't count it, okay.
So the
Well, that's part of the process, right?
the transfer of the property would at least need to be done contingent upon approval.
Right, and that's where we met with Dale on it, gave him the drawings of both properties with the property behind it, showing it, and then he sent us here.
And also, Joseph, the north elevation doesn't show.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the architectural aesthetics yet.
No, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about the grade.
Is the adjacent property owner giving an easement or fee simple interest?
Well, the, Sarmento, the attorney there, was working on doing the paperwork for that. So
If it's
he's
an
not-
what I'm telling you though, or why I was asking so that I can tell you, if it's an easement, that doesn't move the line for calculation of setbacks.
No, it's not an easement, it's
Okay,
given up.
it has to be a fee simple transfer of the land in
Yes,
order for
fee
the
simple
property
transfer.
line to move, and the setbacks are judged from property line, not from easement line.
Right,
It's
it'd be a fee simple.
But Drew, wouldn't he have to conjoin the two in order to do that? Because that's.
Not necessarily, it would not be a separate lot. If you needed both lots, like the Mr. Kovac's item where he will be joining those lots
Right.
because you're putting two lots together. No, people need 10 feet here and 10 feet there to nudge a property line all the time. There's not a lot binding that
And
happens
so that they
there.
can make parking regulations, stuff like that. But what happens when he sells that property behind?
I'm sorry?
When he sells that property behind it, then I guess it's minus the 10 feet or
That's
whatever
right,
he's
that's right.
done.
There's a deed, so
Right.
when I'm buying
Right.
that property behind it, my title company's gonna find that deed that says, oh, I've sold off 10 feet of this.
No, my question was on the grade.
Yeah, so I see that the grade, it says 20.95 at the property line, then it goes to 20, it goes almost 3/4 of a foot, then it goes to 18.6, and then it goes to 17.9, and then in the back 17.7. So it changes about 3 feet from the front to back. That's not reflected on the exterior elevations or the driveway. That change in grade, that would mean the elevation, the north elevation is showing it as if the garage is at the same level as the commercial. So if it slopes 3 feet, you're gonna have, and then you gotta have a driveway off the common driveway up to your garage. I guess that's where you would feather it from the driveway?
Well, if you look at the plan I'm looking at, it says 18.8 finished floor for garage. The building itself is 2130.
The plan I'm looking at says garage 19.5, finished floor 21.7. I guess we have too many plans here.
Right, but the one I'm looking at, that's why I was saying it's closer to what the exterior is. So
That's
you.
one I have, survey-wise. I'm looking at the survey.
This one says March 29th, well, 29.
28.
But it has different numbers.
So then,
Fortunately, I turned all mine in. I don't have a new copy. Let me see if I have one here. No, I'm trying to find it here. This is the rear property.
that's a scale.
18.8.
Well, this is the same one that I have.
Yeah, 321.
That's not
It
it.
says three,
Rear property.
this looks
rear
like
property,
28.
Rear property.
Oh, you,
The only one I have that's original, I think,
321.
was showing that
21,
you
yeah.
can see the drop in it, that it goes from finished floor and inside the building, 2130 to 1880, which is conforming to the difference in what we need.
8. So you're saying the garage is at 1880?
Yeah.
Or would you,
Finish. Let me show you the one I got here real quick, if you don't mind.
which one do you have?
1770 outside,
Put so many going back and forth. So here's your,
Oh,
your finished.
222, here's 321. You got an old one.
Right, so I turned in a new one. I don't have,
But this one says that finished floor,
We have 3 in our packet.
Yeah.
So that's the inside finished floor, which is the original, like, just like.
21.7.
They just forgot to write that number. Here, so here's your 2130
21.30.
is originally what they quoted.
So it's 21.7.
Then they had your garage, 1950.
1950.
But here it's
and
1880.
This one
That
shows
makes
the
m-
parking of the street.
Oh, yeah, that
it's
shows,
wrong. They can't have that. It doesn't work. We have to move forward to get
right,
that handicap and this one
right.
in there. I mean, if you needed it adjusted, I can have the finished floor adjusted in the garage. I mean, it's not a problem. To mimic the,
Yeah, I was just hoping that we would have accurate,
it's, like I said, it's been
oops,
changed, because we've dealt with so many multiple people doing this. It's just been changed so many times. But it's not a problem. Whatever we gotta do to make it work. Right. We'll do it.
and who is John that reviewed it, the plan? Jack Chad?
Chad, mhm.
And he's still with us, or he's no longer with us?
Well, I was gonna tell you this later. So Northeast Florida Regional Planning Council is still our consulting planner for the time being, but Dale is hoping that by the end of the week, we will have an on-staff planner hired.
Yeah.
So we will likely, next time we meet, you will likely have a planner, a full-time planner.
I just like to keep in mind that this has been going on since 2021. That's how long this project's been going. I think Bonnie tells you she's had the permit in hand.
I still have the original one.
We've never seen it.
I don't think I've ever seen this before, though.
Right, because originally, they told me that we were one block before this board looks at it. So the next block up is where it ends, so that street right there, moving. That's what we were explained, that's what Karen has said. Then, it changed. Then Karen got out of the picture and Larry Torino started it. And then we went back and forth. I got a bunch of emails right here I can show you. I mean, I have.
The emails with staff are irrelevant to what's going on.
Yeah,
It's just that it's been going back and forth. It's been going back and forth so much with so many different people.
yeah.
I-
Brendan,
It's just delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. I just wanted somebody to give us a concrete answer of what we gotta do so that we can get it to where we move forward.
And that's the suggestion that was going to make, is that I mean, I have questions, there's things that are not on this plan that, I'm only one vote. I'm not anti-development, I love the fact there's gonna be commercial up there, but before I approve something, I have to be comfortable with it. So it'll get to me and I'll have my questions, but I think we might wanna run it through the course, make the notes, and then come back at it. And just,
No problem.
I mean, what's 30 more days? You've waited 3 years. No, that's one of my things, so,
I'm the owner of the property. I
Yeah.
really agree with you, and I don't have a problem. My problem is...
Your name, please, and...
Yes, my name is Casper Gaspar. I'm the owner of the property. I'm the owner of the property behind it, and I'm the owner of the house behind the restaurant. I'm just glad that I have my house built and I'm living in it, because if I was waiting for this to be built, I'll be homeless for the past 2.5 years. So I agree with you, so please just tell us once for all what I need to do, and we'll get it done. But the problem is people are being changing, constantly changing, and we've been trying to accommodate, including the 10 feet that I'm giving away from the house. I accommodate everything that the city's been asking me. Unfortunately, there's no direction. We're not getting any direction. So hopefully we can get some direction today. That's all I ask.
why don't we run it through the course? Because you're right, parking's one, or trash is
Okay.
one, trash, and, because I have a litany of things.
Okay.
And listen, it's, you know, we kind of go through the same transition, so.
Totally agree. Just
Okay.
give us some direction so we
Thank
can
you.
get it done. In 30 days, you're not gonna make a difference, or 60 days, you're not gonna make a difference.
Yeah, it'll be July, because in June, so you've just taken both of my staff reports away from me on this item. I was gonna also tell you, the commission, has, agreed with your idea of a joint workshop on the height, future of the height ordinance, and they have set that for June 4th, for your meeting date to have that workshop. So there will not be a regular agenda on June 4th. But I think everybody, I think the best thing you can do for this applicant is to go through that list, so that when they come back, that they know exactly what you want to see and how you want to see it.
Okay. All right, so let's go down our, Scott, do you have any questions? Okay.
Not at this time.
We need a clearer plan.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
we
what we're
need
gonna-
plans on grade that we can see how it works, and like, where's the trash?
Right.
Where's the is the parking going to be on slab or on grade? I mean, we need details.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we can make these lists.
Okay.
And then compile it and then go from there.
Lisa, do you have any other questions? No?
Other questions, I'd just like to see a site plan with all the necessary.
Okay. Marshall?
Nope, I'm in full agreement with,
Okay.
clean it up
Okay.
for everybody.
Brenda?
Well, hi, I'm Brenda. The parking, I think that the reason the questions came about were because we had so many transitions. But the latest of the plan, whether it's 329 or 328 or whatever, 2024, it shows the handicap plus one in the back, the two garage, and barring two from A1A. So we just need to verify, is it 6 or 7, and we can go from there. The retention area is extremely important because of the grade, and there's going to be a little bit of movement in the roof. I see that you have gutters, because you've heard my song and dance before with respect to gutters. And retention's very important. The retention beside my house, they got a permit to close it without mediating, which is wrong, and I don't want him to be the victim, or the people north or south of you that we are at this point in my neighborhood. So the retention is there, correct? You gave the 10 feet for the retention, and it's there, okay, so that's very important. The trash bins, like she mentioned, you have 2 retail. There's going to be days of delivery with boxes, increase in trash, and I don't like trash as an afterthought. So let's, either, whether you have to meet with the, sanitation or whatever, let's see where you're gonna store them, because whoever's living above, they're gonna wanna, it needs to be properly laid out. okay, for all three units. And then, this is just an observation, so the CCL, the coastal construction line goes basically to the back of it. So does that mean everything on the first floor has to meet all the coastal requirements as
Yes.
far as heights on the
Yes.
outlets and stuff?
Yep,
Okay.
mhm.
Interesting, because I haven't seen it on plan and, the coastal, construction line going back that far on anything that I've seen since I've been up here, so just wanted to ask that question. And I don't know this answer, I'm sure that you do. So in a retail space that size, there only needs to be one point of ingress and egress?
Well, Joseph can answer that question.
Because of the size? Okay, just wanting to make sure. And then it's really strange, but when you go on to the property appraiser, and I know this is not an exact science, and this happened, I get here and I learned that there's a lot of blending of these lots, et cetera, but it's so strange because no matter how you look at it, that kind of hotel beside of it looks like it encroaches, does it?
The house, the building next door to the left?
Is that a bed and breakfast or something?
No, it's an office.
An office. Does that encroach?
No, it's right on I think it's really close to the property line though,
Okay,
which I
so,
think they are allowed to go zero lot line, if I'm right, correct?
and how does that affect you?
You're going zero also
Yeah,
on
Okay.
that side.
Okay, fair, I think that's fair enough, because no
because I
matter
need
how
that, I
look
need to
at
hold
it-
the house as far this way as we can to make the turn radius work.
Okay,
And I believe on that plan, there should be some arrows that show where the garage is. I think there's some arrows that are showing the direction and in and out.
okay, this is totally out of our realm, but I see that someone chose Sherwin-Williams Sundew, and boy, if it was a white or a subtle color, I think that the retail would be more visible with people going 35 miles an hour, because that is not much off the flesh color of this building, and I just wanted to make a comment that if somebody would want to revisit the color, I think it would do you guys better.
You pick the color, man.
Well, I thought,
Yeah, about the color. My house is blue, so my wife is the one who picked blue, but we can't change it.
no, it's kind of a brownish color.
We'll make it,
Yeah, I'm just saying you might want,
We'll get a more neutral color.
what are your architect, something that's gonna stand out, because if
My
it,
house is blue in the back.
yeah,
It looks like the Greek flag, so.
Yeah.
That was my wife, and we have no argument there. So-
well, I don't wanna disturb
No,
your
no,
household.
not at all.
I'm just saying, as far as retail, you want that to pop out.
The little restaurant behind my house has changed colors. At one time was a Jamaican green. I thought Jamaican green because the restaurant was Jamaican.
Right,
Yeah, this green, and I didn't like it, but that's the
Yeah.
color they painted on. But
Yeah.
that's no problem.
I'm not saying, I'm not
so.
saying go that crazy,
That's
I'm
not
just
an
saying,
issue. That's
something
not-
subtly
That
nice.
won't be an issue. That's-
Anyway, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Paul? Okay.
So, I know you moved the whole footprint to the very south property line, and then you show a door outside of the vestibule to the stair on the south side, don't go to anything.
Yeah, I think we're eliminating that. That's because originally it was one way, now we shifted it, so I think that just needs to be removed off the.
So I think what we're really looking for is a very specific site plan that does square footage calculation for residential, then that breaks it down into the parking spaces required for residential. Then a very specific calculation for commercial, and that breaks it down into the required parking for commercial. And then you can apply your 40% mixed-use rule that I believe is part of the mixed use, which says that you can have on-street parking for 40% of your commercial requirement. But I would like to see it on a site plan that's very concise and specific, so that and then there's maximum lot coverage, and I think general commercial is 90%. so you're gonna have to show a calculation of, pervious to impervious, and then there should be a calculation somewhere that says that your retention pond is X number of square footage. So it just has to be more professionally presented. And there is, I'm surprised, and I know you went from Larry to Jack and whoever else in the last couple of years, but, I don't know why it's so confusing, because as an architect, I have that formula for mixed-use properties for everything I just mentioned. And I probably can help you if you call me.
It just is confusing because I started with Karen, and she said one thing, changed it, we went a different route, then it went to Larry, Larry gave me his thinking,
Right.
and then it went to the new planner, and it just, we've been going with this, every time we ask, you know, we get different responses. That's why we're here, to try to stop with
Yeah.
with this so we can get moving forward.
Okay, so that would be that, and then, it'd be nice if your exterior elevations did show the grade of the driveway right on the north side, so that you can see how the driveway relates to the garage and how you're gonna get up to the garage. It's just a more accurate representation of grading to actual structure. Your electrical, I didn't really get into it, but hopefully you have turtle lights
Yes.
noted and all that stuff.
I believe that turned in some lighting.
And then,
See that?
architecturally, I mean, there's some undulation on the front, and there's some gingerbread. You got a gable end roof dying into a hip. There's interest there. On the north
Steps up
side, you're
and
right on the
comes in,
front.
it does your step in with the balcony.
And then it steps in at the balcony. Maybe you could add some banding or stucco reveals or something. I mean, you got banding around the windows, and then where your garages are, that's recessed, so there's another dimensional change there. Where did you find colors?
On one of the plans,
Oh.
no, in the, list,
Oh,
it, Sherwin-Williams 7688 Sundew on the wall. The trim, I didn't even look at because the wall scared me.
so we know that the footprint's gonna be on the zero property line on the north, on the south side, right? So then you're gonna get rid of that door, you'll bring that elevation up to date off the stairwell? Yeah,
Chair,
yes.
I gotta make a comment on that. I'd have to research it, and I'm assuming that the architect may have done that. I probably shouldn't assume, but, I believe that National Fire Code, you have to go down those stairs, you have to go
Directly to the outside.
to a,
Correct.
external, you can't exit down those stairs and then go into
Into
the
a garage.
garage, because the fire could be in the garage. So they're trapped. And the other question I would have is, I don't understand why the south side can be zero lot line. And the other side, you wouldn't want it.
I think they can only have one zero lot line.
Right, but
Because of the shared driveway.
Okay, I can understand that. The thing because I remember I was there the other day and I saw a bed and breakfast sign for that property just south of this.
Yeah.
And if they're almost on the property line, it's not,
Oh, you may have to redesign your stairwell and your elevator location. Not that that's our,
I'm not, I've always thought we needed a separation between buildings if possible.
well, since it's a mixed-use project, it's a commercial project, and if it's a commercial project, then your
It can go
stairwell
zero.
has to have a means directly to the outside.
Right. I
And
do
a lot
see
of
that,
times you need two means of egress, but I think that's limited when you're over 2 units. When you go to 3, you're now an apartment building versus, because you only have 1 residential unit upstairs, right?
Right,
Yeah.
and I do see that you have not only the garage, but you also have the apartment sprinkler, according to plan, so. I'm not happy with continuity, the fact that 2 buildings are so close that you may not be able to have any separation. God forbid something happens in one or the other.
So
But-
The other one is, I think, I'd have to look, but I think the other one,
If it's 3 feet or so inside, we're okay, I would think. There's at least walkway in between. And I don't know how you repair or paint whatever color you selected to the outside of the building if you have to have permission from the neighbor to put your ladder on, but
Just,
so be it.
There's an existing wood fence there?
just a
Yeah, I think-
reminder.
This is
That
site
really,
plan.
no, you're making a list for things for them to address. And I think if we talk too much about fixing the things, they're just gonna, we might end up confusing them.
All right.
Take a stab.
She was keeping notes.
Sure, please.
I move that we table this until we get clearer site plan and information. We need to know, the grade as it relates to the garage specifically, and the driveway grade. As far as the parking, we would like on the site plan, the residential calculation separated from the commercial calculation and how you came to that. We would like to know what surface type on the parking out back. We know that the handicap has to be, concrete, but what are you gonna do beyond that? We did not get a copy of the lighting package. I want it noted, and I'm with you, I would like to know the square foot of the retention area, because we want to make sure that once we get all the grade calculations, that we can understand that the gentleman behind you isn't going to be affected. We would like, the stairwell and elevator for you to review that with someone to make sure that we have the proper egress, and whether it's allowed to be into the garage, et cetera. So both the stairwell and the elevator. We'd like to see the trash bins, where are they gonna be, how you gonna canvass them. You gotta make space for enough for all 3 units. And that's what I have.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made, second. All in favor? Aye.
okay, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Okay. D was withdrawn?
Yeah, but so, item D, which was the ordinance regarding mobile home park setbacks, that has been pulled at the request of the applicant. I received an email from their attorney right before I came over asking for that item to be pulled.
All right. I guess we're at board comments. So I know, Drew, that in the past, when Larry was here, I've had these same comments where, we would like, and I don't know if it's an ordinance, I know there's a packet for the PAR board and a checklist of what's supposed to be provided, but is it up to the client to provide a professional site plan with all the things we're looking for? Because I just do it automatically, because that's what I know I need to do.
Ultimately, the applicant's burden to present the site plan that they want considered. Is that the question that's being asked?
Yeah, but it's not, we've had it more than once where it's been a non-professional looking site plan with not any site data.
So,
Should that be on our checklist then?
hopefully, since you'll have a new planner, I think that's a conversation to be had there. I can have it on my end, and I think when you have a new planner on, I think they will be very interested to hear how you would like to see things presented. in my experience, and probably why I smirked a little bit at the question, I think your turnover with planners has, it's impacted us over the last year. Because my experience with planners is until that planner is happy, you're not getting on an agenda. So it's often not, there's nothing other than the planner saying, I'm not taking what you've submitted to the planning board until you fix X, Y, and Z. So it's usually the strength of personality of a planner that's getting you that level of detail. And that comes from a planner knowing their board, knowing what, because that's what they'll say. I mean, they're not being mean about it.
Right.
Saying, if I take this to the planning commission, you're gonna get tabled and you're gonna have to come back. So let's get it right the first time.
Yeah, okay.
But yes, your point is well made, yes.
Yeah.
But I think the way of addressing it is, let's get the planner on
Yeah.
board and then let him know what you want.
Okay.
So the planner should be here before our meeting next month when we discuss the.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Joseph,
Scott?
I might be out on a limb here a little bit, but it just seemed to me as though he had someone working with him that weren't familiar with our rules and regs. And maybe I'm wrong there, but gosh, it seems like this didn't have anything we needed, anything we were looking for. And I'm relating back to my in-laws went to build a house here, and they had an out-of-town architect. And, oh my gosh, what a mess. And then, so we turned it over to you, Joseph, and then all of a sudden, no problem.
Yeah.
But you gotta know your local stuff.
So you need to know your local stuff, and it is a New Jersey firm that has a Florida license, but they're not going, it seemed like Lewis was the one that was managing the project, not the architect, maybe. That could be our problem.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think Stevenson's probably prepared the site plan and not the architect. If
Yeah.
the architect had prepared it, it would have been a different
Yeah,
outcome.
yeah. Any other comments?
I'd just kind of like to piggyback on that because I'm kind of glad number 4 was tabled. I mean, I've studied that, those parcels ever since the day I stepped onto this island. I can probably tell you more about it than most. But there's certain things that I would like to talk over with someone, and I don't have Larry. I asked Bonnie, they provide as much as they can. I can't speak with Joseph. And I just think, who could I talk to? Because, you know, I think back when we made the zoning, I thought I had this like, idea, because I've designed that parcel about 15 times in my head, and I never dreamed that it would be sold to someone who owns trailer parks and manages trailer parks. So I in my zest to vote when we were doing the workshop for it to be this or that, I don't think that we looked at the future of the merging of the reality that it could be a trailer park for a few years to come. Because I imagine a national trailer park.
What are you talking about?
The trailer park, item 4.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I said I was glad item 4 was pulled. So I just think that we can go in and we can like vote on something and chat about something, but I'm really concerned about this, and I think we need to drop back and punt and really assess it for the betterment of the city.
So this is not city initiated, though. This is
Right.
property owner initiated
But it was
request.
brought before us,
That's right,
yeah,
because ultimately things have to come through the process.
right.
We don't bring things here for rubber stamps.
So the point, exactly, so the point I'm trying to make is, who can when I need to talk to someone,
It depends
Well-
on what the questions are. If they're legal, you always know where to find me.
Well, I
but
know where to
until
find
there's
you.
a planner on, that is a challenge.
okay, so we just wait.
Yeah, although
And wait for that.
this has not been a planner-intensive item. This has been an applicant, they're trying to fix a problem. Essentially, this came from trying to fix the fact that what's out there now and has been out there for 60 years does not conform to what your code says. So actually, what you had in that code was the code conforming to the situation that's existed all of this time.
Yeah.
That was the purpose of that order.
Yeah, and I've read all the way back to 1970, because I'm, retentive, I'm going to do my homework. But I just think that we're merging into a situation where it needs true thought. And I would just like to feel like I had someone to talk to. So hopefully before it comes back to us, we'll have a planner. Because I think, engagement, crossing ideas, you know, talking about how we got here, where do we really need to go in the future is important. And I've missed Larry, I just must say. I have missed Larry. Thank you.
So, Drew, regarding that, or coming back to us,
It would be 2 months at the earliest.
At the earliest.
Got it. Are they serving breakfast or lunch or anything at this joint meeting?
At the workshop, not to my knowledge.
Any other old business, new business? We're good.
Glad to see you're up and around.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting there. All right, entertain a motion.
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Somebody
Second.
second it? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.